Hello and welcome to the Fireside Chat. Today we have Sourav Sinha, CIO of IndiGo Airlines, as a guest today at CXO TV. Sourav, so tell us, that how has been your journey so far?
Yeah, I'm Sourav Sinha. Today, I head the technology vertical within IndiGo Airlines. I started my career journey from Tata Consultancy Services almost 29 years back, and I worked in different roles, in different capacity, in different geographies for a period of over 13 years with TCS, and in different roles, including roles like country head, a CEO of a joint venture between Tata and Singapore Airlines before I moved into the airline industry. And I have been since then in the airline industry. As they say, once you join the airline, you don't really come out of it. So I have been the CIO for four airlines, including IndiGo, as of now during the last 16 years that I have been associated with the airline. And I joined IndiGo in 2018 May, and I have been working with airlines outside the country, in the Middle East, GCC, and also in the Far East as part of TCS, of course, but associated very closely with Singapore Airlines, that being their joint venture. So that's in brief my introduction, and thanks, Kalpana, for enabling me to share this. Thank you.
So, what are your primary roles and responsibilities as CIO of IndiGo Airlines?
I can put it in four parts. These are the four cornerstones, which I say.
Well,
So the first and probably the most important is driving the culture of leveraging technology within the organization. So that is extremely important because if people do not trust and do not leverage the technology for their day-to-day work or for managing, monitoring, controlling, I mean, then the purpose is lost in terms of all the efforts that we make. So that's the first one and most important, as I said. Secondly, is that drive innovation and transformation in an environment that is secured. Of course, data security is something which is very much talked about now, and more so during the COVID period because we have seen some not so good news around on that. The third would typically be enabling data driven decision making, which actually enables us to provide the kind of data, the information, the KPIs to different business units, cross functional information, cross functional data, so that they can take informed decisions, they can measure, they can manage. And of course, the fourth one is to drive process and cost efficiencies within the organization, which has an impact on the business process, on the way people do their work, and so on. So I am responsible, if you ask me in one sentence, I'm responsible for driving transformation by leveraging technology, what we call, if it is to be called digital transformation, so be it. And also in terms of innovation, because that could help us to remain ahead. If we do the innovation, we can develop products, process, governance, services within our organization to give us a sustainable competitive advantage as we go into the future.
right. So, what are the key technology solutions used by IndiGo Airlines and what are their use cases?
It's very difficult to put my finger on one technology or maybe a couple. We use varied technology, and while technology is definitely not a decision making point that, the industry is using this technology for certain things and we definitely have to use it, to remain ahead, to show ourselves in the forefront. I don't think we leverage that way. But having said that, we do use a lot of emerging technologies, a couple of them, which we have found them to be useful in our processes, in our governance, in our customer touch points as well. And these technologies which we use not only helps us in terms of our customer positioning, in terms of positioning ourselves in front of our customer, but also for our employees within our organization. What I drive as a strategy within the airline is a connected airline, where we connect the four important players within this organization, within an airline, which are typically the aircraft, the airport, the customer, and the enterprise itself. Now, all these entities will have to be connected in a way such that we get the greatest advantage in terms of their own productivity improvement, in their own contribution to the overall air.
Right. So the airlines industry has been one of the worst affected by the pandemic. What is the role played by technology in this situation?
Uh, you know, in the current scenario, let me take a step back. So what we have done also is that to restore confidence within our customers, so that they are willing to travel. They're willing to travel on air travel, willing to undertake air travel. So earlier we had three promises that we used to make to our customers, which is on-time performance, hassle-free service, and affordable pricing. We have added a fourth, which is a health-safe travel. And if I go with what IATA has put in, for a period between January till September, about 100 odd billion passengers flew on airlines worldwide, and they have analyzed the cases in terms of COVID, making people more prone or somebody got infected. And the figure is very, very encouraging. They say that it's 1 in 24 million who actually got infected or impacted by COVID. So considering the fact that it is a safe mode of transport, this is something that we would like to drive, and we would like to restore confidence within our customers. The second thing is, of course, as we went in and into this relaunch of the operation somewhere at the end of May, we of course were mandated not only from our internal leadership team, but also from the government, that we have to have a touchless or less touch operation to the extent possible. Now, we also have to understand that some of the processes within the airports and the airlines were far from being touchless. So, but some of the mandates actually helped us. And I'll give you a small example. We used to struggle in terms of increasing our off-airport check-in, which is our mobile check-in or our web check-in. And it never improved beyond 40% of the total check-ins. Overnight, when we launched, this percentage went up to 94%. And it has stabilized around in mid-80s now. Okay. So earlier, which was basically a struggle for us, has now become a possible, and we are seeing it. I mean, we didn't do much about it, in the sense that those applications were available, those technologies were already available, but the scenario, the environment around actually really helped us. So that is enabling from a customer touch point, that most of it in terms of getting to interact with an agent at the check-in counter and all that, except if somebody has a bag or something, he doesn't need to go, he or she doesn't need to go. That's one. The second thing, there are quite a few initiatives also, which is being driven by the government, by the Ministry of Civil Aviation and Airport Authority of India, which we are calling it as DGR, and we will probably be the first airline to adopt to that. Some work in terms of, not some work, quite extensive work is happening. We have already done a proof of concept, it's working. So that would enable a passenger right from the time when he is entering the terminal, validation with his facial recognition. So the face will be the primary form of recognition and identification. And with that, he will be able to cross through the security checkpoints and even up to the point of boarding, which will be manned by e-gates rather than with human agents who currently is in vogue. We are also taking into consideration our employees, who are equally important, obviously, especially those who are in the customer touch points, and primarily our crew and check-in agents and all.
I mean, it's more like the biometrics solutions, the face recognition with AI and all, that will be, you mean to say that will be used now?
Yeah, we have already been using RPA, which is the robotic process automation. We are using IoT as well. That is to make our crew check-in. Check-in means, check-in into the flight attendance. Let me put it this way. So checking and check out, driven by touchless operation, and we are enabling it with IoT. Artificial intelligence will also have its way into the airline industry. And there are several case studies on other emerging technologies as well within the airline industry. But we'll have to see, how all these will help us at the end of the day, and if really we can actually take a quantum leap in the way we position ourselves to our customers. Mobility for us has been the platform, and we are also enabling mobility for our own employees, our crew, and also our engineers and our pilots as well. Uh, the vision that we are driving is empowering those who are at the last mile. People who are at the last mile would be those who are at the airports, for example, who is in constant touch with our customers, okay, day in and day out. Those who are our crew, cabin crew, those are the people again who are responsible for customer service, and of course safety always stays as the highest priority, the most paramount interest in any airline, for that matter, in any industry, and more so in an airline. So that them. Now the third section would be those who are in constant touch with the aircraft. The aircraft for any airline is the product around which all of us operate, all of us work together. So, for example, our engineers on the ground. So, those are the people who have been empowered, who have been provided with technology on hand on their personal mobile phones, so that they don't have to, bother about charging the phone and getting themselves adopted. Same with the pilots as well. So that's a vision that we adopted even pre-COVID, and fortunately for us, with the kind of push that we are getting during the COVID for a touchless and less contact kind of an operation, I think this is getting more traction for that.
Right. So, as you rightly said, how can the journey of the airline crew be mapped digitally to ensure safety?
It's both ensuring safety as well as for customer service. So we had mapped the entire crew journey, and then we have digitized the entire process, right from the time that she leaves her hotel or her home till the time she gets back. So to give you certain snippets into it, everything is available on her mobile, on her personal mobile. So before she leaves her home, she gets a notification of all the details of the cab who has come to pick her up. And that is, the driver, his GPS positioning, anything, whatever you call it. And once she has boarded, she has got some time in her hand till the time she reaches the airport. Now, during that time, there are several information that he can make herself aware. We have something called a crew briefing, which is a task. So most of the crew briefing can happen by browsing that app which is on her mobile phone. For example, her roster. If there are any special requests for the flight that she's going to take, if she wants to inform of her flight to her relatives or friends, she can do that, and so on and so forth. By the time she reaches the airport, she has to check in for a flight after some regulatory stuff is done, and then when she comes closer to the base, previously they used to log into a computer, a desktop, and they used to check in. Again, touch kind of stuff came in. So what we did was that we enabled IoT, and by the time as she comes closer to the base within some periphery, she is able to activate that app again and check in for the flight. On flight, she has been provided with a tablet. That's not her personal device, of course. Tablet for her to provide necessary services and selling things on board, selling meals on board and all that. While she comes out, so all the reconciliation and everything which used to be previously done on a piece of paper and had to be submitted and all that stuff is now totally digitized. And she comes back to her base, she checks out, and she goes back home. So even the cab details which has come to the cab which has come to pick her up from the airport to her home, that too also she gets a notification on the mobile. So the entire journey has been digitized. We have been able to improve the productivity, the morale of the crew. Also in terms of our customer services, previously, and this was noticed by me in person, previously they used to spend at least 35 to 40 minutes on a flight to reconcile what they have sold against the inventory which are there in the catering carts. So that is not required now. She's able to devote that time in towards the customer and finding, that it's not only serving meals and all that. They have the time now to interact at an individual level, find out their pains, find out how we can improve the services further, and so on and so forth. So now this has really helped us not only to provide a touchless or a less touch kind of an operation, but also to improve on our services and offerings.
Right. So, will you like to highlight some of the technologies behind, the solutions that you're talking about, whether it is the, ensuring safety, and so what are the technologies behind those?
Some of the technologies are airline proprietary technologies, which is basically the cockpit management system and all that. There are certain technologies, and those are something that does not come under the purview of my team. Those are between the manufacturers and our operations people and our engineers actually. But when we talk about the technology which we are so much aware of in our generic sense, we are actually looking at, as I said, we will be leveraging technology. I mean, there is no other way for us to even survive in this industry. And we will be using different kinds of technology as it suits our purpose. We don't have to do a blockchain kind of technology just to tell people, oh, we have used blockchain. I need to see, what kind of returns I get out of it. Okay, at the end of the day, the business decides, okay, this is a process that we will have to digitize in collaboration with the IT team. Then it is up to the IT team to see, what I can get the best out of it, best value out of it. How quickly can I turn around? How will I support it? If it's a new technology, also we have to get into the support paraphernalia also. So these are the kind of things that we consider. If the arrow points towards an emerging technology, yes. If the arrow doesn't point to an emerging technology, and we say, okay, a native mobile app is good enough to serve this purpose, we will go with that.
Right. So, how are collaboration technologies leveraged by IndiGo Airlines and aviation sector overall optimally, especially in the current situation?
Oh, this has become quite important now, and as a matter of fact, our regulator has also agreed, to do some of the courses and some of the trainings remotely. Previously, that was not the case. And we are leveraging Microsoft Teams to a great extent especially for the trainings, because our crew will have to undergo some of this regulatory and certification training on a recurrent basis. So, and most of those trainings are currently being done in the current environment on remotely. That's one. Secondly, from a workplace perspective, I don't think we are doing very different or any different for that matter from what others are doing. But our Microsoft platform has helped us to actually facilitate this activity right from day one.
You got a very good experience when it comes to data. How are you leveraging analytics? If you can, in the aviation sector, if you can throw some light.
We use data to measure and monitor. Okay, so we have built with quite a lot of effort. Actually, we have built a data lake, which actually facilitates cross-functional analysis, cross-functional data analytics, and of that kind. What we have also done is that we have enabled some of these data analytics even on a mobile, even on the personal mobile phone, with the due security and all that stuff, which has been put in place, so that at least at a senior leadership level, it is available for ready reference. Now, data lake is slightly different from the reports and all those things that we get. Today, we have captured the data from different systems in a granular form, which actually helps us to do whatever we have to do. And it drives a culture of data-driven decision making, which is very important. So, as a matter of fact, across all our business verticals, be it commercial, be it operations, be it finance or HR in terms of support functions, we use a lot of data in terms of monitoring and also managing it, and of course improving whatever we are doing today.
Tell us more about AR, VR as technologies, that how aviation sector can leverage technologies like AR and VR.
I have really not seen much of an inroads that these two technologies have made to the aviation industry. While some of the case studies could be there, they say for engineering you can use it, functions. I think we have really, and if I take the worldwide airline survey, I would believe that most 90% of the survey respondents who represent different geographies, airlines and airports are from different geographies, have said that it is still in R&D, and there is no such plan that we will roll it out in the next 1 year or next 18 months. No, I have not seen that.
Okay, so in frontier technologies, you mean to say IoT and AI and analytics are the major technologies which are actually helpful in the digital transformation in aviation sector?
To an extent, yes. For full service carriers who have loyalty programs and they have a hell lot of a loyalty partner, they can use blockchain because that is something that helps improve the customer service. Because today, if you earn some points, it will take you at least 2 to 3 days from the time you flew to leverage those points to redeem those points in a hotel or something like that, another partner entity. With blockchain, that will be instant, and of course with the security and all that stuff. The other application of blockchain could be in the engineering part, and I would put it more on those who are like MROs around the world. Their span is much bigger than what a typical airline engineering team span would be. So they use several vendors, several suppliers, millions of parts. So for them to keep a track, they can use blockchain. People have been making trials with that. There have been a couple of smaller startups who had forayed into this area, but I'm not certain if something has come into the mainstream yet.
Right. So, what are the best practices you would like to recommend to the new generation CIOs? Especially in the for the aviation sector?
Understand the business. That is very important. This is a very niche and very, I would say, a sector which is very, very different in my view. I have come from a consulting background where I had worked for customers in different verticals, be it retail, be it financial services and whatnot. But what I found in airlines is that the business is quite different, and if one has to be really successful as an aviation or an airline CIO, deep understanding of the business is very, very important.
Right. Thank you so much for answering that last question, and it was a complete pleasure talking to you today. Thanks for taking off time and joining us.
Thank you, Kalpana. Thank you. I really enjoyed it as well.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.